Court ruling against transgender women's attempt to marry a man. The premiers of China and Japan meet in Brussels. And jail sentence for French rogue trader Jérôme Kerviel. Good evening. A transgender woman has lost a legal challenge against the government's decision to refuse to allow her to marry her boyfriend. The High Court ruled the legal definition of gender is a person's sex at birth, not the acquired sex after sexual reassignment. But the judge said it's time for a public consultation on gender identity and sexual orientation to be carried out. Mona Lam reports.
TVB News.
A concerned group that offers assistance to transsexuals described the ruling as unfair. Meanwhile, Indigenous New Territories residents have raised the point that sex changes will affect inheritance rights in the villages. At the moment, there are more than 200 transsexuals in Hong Kong. Momo, a representative of the Transgender Resource Centre, which offers assistance to transsexuals, is disappointed with today's ruling. As a transgender woman herself, she says it's unfair not to allow transsexuals to get married. The government permits people to change their sex on their identity cards, indicating sex changes are accepted by the government. She says whether it's public housing, welfare benefits or tax allowance, she is not allowed to enjoy the rights as a legal spouse. But for Indigenous New Territories residents, having a sex change could affect the rights of inheriting rural land. Right now, only males have such inheritance rights. Lam Kwok Chung, a lawyer and member of the Heung Yi Kuk, says inheritance rights cover a wide range of issues and changing the existing practice to cater for sex changes would be difficult. According to tradition, this would not be easily accepted in the new territories. Meanwhile, legislator Alan Leung says the issue may lead to a series of social problems as it raises questions on whether homosexuals can get married as well. He says public consultation on the issue is needed. The Legislative Council will vote next week on whether the government can go ahead with expanding the Cheung Kwan O landfill by using 5 hectares of land from Clearwater Bay Country Park. But the Department of Justice has told lawmakers if the majority vote against the move, the government can still go ahead with the plan. Mona Lam has the details.
Mona Lam, TVB News.
Premier Wen Jiabao and Japanese Prime Minister Naoto Kan have had a brief meeting on the sidelines of the Asia-Europe summit in Brussels. They discussed recent tensions between the two countries. This despite earlier assertions that a face-to-face meeting was not on the agenda. After a series of diplomatic spats that have soured relations, the two sides agreed to improve bilateral ties by holding high-level talks at an appropriate time. Chris Galkin reports.
Chris Galkin, TVB News.
Meanwhile, leaders of European and Asian nations representing more than half the world's population are meeting in Brussels in the 8th Asia-Europe Summit. Their two-day talks centre on topics ranging from the economy to climate change and security. Addressing the opening session of the 48-nation summit, Premier Wen Jiabao said the surging economies of Asia should be given more power in the traditionally Western-dominated global financial institutions. Guilty verdicts in France today in one of history's biggest trading frauds. Former Societe Generale trader Jérôme Kerviel was convicted of forgery, breach of trust and unauthorised computer use. He was sentenced to 3 years behind bars plus a suspended 2-year sentence and ordered to repay the bank the $6.7 billion it lost unwinding his risky bets in 2008. Kerviel did not deny he took risky market positions and lied to cover them up, but claimed his superiors knew what he was doing. His lawyer called the verdict senseless as the bank was cleared of all blame. Kerviel plans to appeal against the verdict. A state of emergency has been declared in 3 counties of Hungary after a sludge reservoir at a big alumina factory burst on Monday, killing 4 people, including 2 babies. Rescue workers are still searching for 6 missing people. The reservoir, located in western Hungary, spilled an estimated 1 million cubic meters of red sludge. The sludge contains highly toxic metals, and 140 residents have been hospitalized with burns caused by the red mud. Army vehicles, soldiers and helicopters assisted in the rescue of 40 people when sludge flooded 400 homes. Police have launched a criminal investigation to determine why the dam burst. Two Russian-born scientists have won this year's Nobel Prize in Physics. Andrei Geim and Konstantin Novoselov were honoured for their groundbreaking experiments with graphene. Both men were professors at Manchester University in England. Graphene is a super thin flake of carbon that is only 1 atom thick and has unique properties. The Royal Swedish Academy of Sciences said experiments with graphene could lead to development of new super strong materials and innovative electronics. Local trams are going to get a revamp. Hong Kong tramways will gradually replace existing wooden vehicles with aluminium ones. And there will be new seating arrangements as well. Kirti Nandwani gives us a sneak peek at the new design.
Nandwani, TVB News.
Sports news now. A thrilling end to the Ryder Cup at Celtic Manor in Wales. Europe narrowly beat the United States to reclaim the trophy. Graham McDowell sealed the victory in the final match. Jeremy Austin has the highlights.
So after the first Monday finish in Ryder Cup history, it was Europe's captain, Colin Montgomery, who lifted the prized gold trophy. And the rain-interrupted tournament ended with showers of a different kind from the champagne bottles of the European players. Jeremy Austin, TVB News.
Tonight's winning Mark 6 numbers are 5, 6, 8, 16, 29 and 31. The extra number is 12. Finally, the weather, cloudy with a few rain patches tomorrow. Expect a high of 25 degrees. That's the news. Good night.